Hello, in this video I'm going to show you a short introduction on how to work with MySQL Workbench and our physical schema and using our SQL commands. We'll start by selecting a connection or creating a new one in case you don't have a connection set up already. I'm going to set up a new one to show you, and I'm going to say connection for video. And you can set up the user that you will connect with and security settings and so on. For us, we'll just click OK. We can test the connection, see if our server is available. We insert our root password, and it's telling us that the connection is successful. It can talk to the server, and we have the connection here. We click on it, and this opens up our SQL editor, where we're going to be writing our SQL commands. We need to start by creating a new schema. Okay, so I'll right click, create schema, and we're going to call this schema for video. Okay, and click apply. Okay, and what it is creating is an SQL statement that is saying create schema and the name of the schema. Okay, we won't be changing anything at this point. And execute the commands, and you see here how this has appeared. We'll click on it and set it as our default schema, so we're using that schema. And now we can start writing our queries. Okay, at the moment this schema has nothing inside. There's no tables, no views, no stored procedures, and so on. So we need to start by creating a table. Okay, I'm gonna copy and paste the code. So what we're gonna be creating is create table if it doesn't exist already. So if not exists, the name of the table is cars, and we have several attributes. We have the reg number, that's the name of the attribute. The type is varchar. We're saying it can't be null, and it's the primary key. Okay, then we have the car make, which is going to be of type text and not null. Then we have color, which is one of the list of we have here, red, green, or blue. The price, which is decimal for currency, and the car owner, which is text. Okay, so we have our query. We can run it, and we'll see if we update here how now we have some tables, and our table cars has been created. Okay, we can have a look at the columns that are in the table. Okay, we can also inspect what's inside the table, the actual data, but there's nothing in this table at the moment. Before we start inserting values on the table, what we're going to do is save this query, and we'll do that as we go along in today's exercise. Every query we create, every SQL statement, we'll save it in its own small SQL command. So create car table, I already had it, but you just select the name and click save, and that's created and saved. And now if we want to reproduce the steps we've followed today, we just have to run our queries. Okay, if I run it again, because I have added the if not exists, nothing will happen. If we didn't have this part of the statement, when you try to create the table again with the same name, it's going to tell you this table already exists. Now we're going to move on into inserting values into our table. Remember, this is our table at the moment. There's nothing inside. We have three ways of inserting values. We can add in values here. Okay, and click new record, and then say this is a new car. The car make is a Ford. The color is red. The price is 32,000, and the owner is Mary Smith. Now, this obviously is not very time efficient, and be very tedious to have to insert your values this way. So we have two other methods of inserting values into our tables. The second one we're going to look at is using code, so using insert statements. And then the third method we're going to look at is importing data from your CSV file. Okay, let's have a look at those. So the second way of adding data into our table is going to be creating a new SQL file, and we're going to use the insert statement. Okay, I've copied and pasted, so it's a bit quicker. So we have insert into the table cars, and the attributes are the reg number, the car make, the color, the price, and the car owner. And the values that we're inserting are displayed, this make, color, and so on. And then we'll repeat the same for another one, and another one. Okay. Before we run it, we're gonna go back to our table here. We added that value. We'll need to click apply before we leave. And if you see what's happening when you're typing them in manually is the same thing as we just typed in. It's an insert into the table cars in our schema for video database, the attributes and the values. Okay, we click apply and those values have gone in. So now, following the same kind of format, we run our insert SQL, and if I go back to cars and I update the data, we can see that all the data that we just entered is there as well. Okay, so we're going to go back to our SQL file, and we're going to save these as insert values. Inserting initial values, I had already done it. Okay, so we click save. Yes. Okay, so we have that query saved. If in the future we need to go back, we delete for whatever reason, by accident, we delete our database, we can go back and repeat, trace back our steps. Okay. Now, the third method to enter values into our table is going to be importing. Okay, so we can import records from an external file. So we click there, and I have somewhere there, I have a CSV file with data for our cars. So I'm going to click next. This obviously comes up because I have already done this before. We're going to use existing table. Click next. And next, we want all our columns. Next. And we have 4 new records. If I update, you see down here, we have 4 new records inserted, which are these ones here that have no surname: Sylvia, Maria, Martha, and Patricia, car owners. Okay, so those rows are new, and they come from that, if I have it here, this CSV, no, this is the initial one, but I have another file where I have this file here that we imported, cars.csv. This is the file that we just imported. Okay, so we have seen 3 different ways of importing data or entering data into our table. Okay, we have also seen how to create our table with all the different attributes, and before that, how to create the actual database and how we look at the values inside the tables. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you in this video is going to be how to create a query using group by and some aggregated values. So we're going to select the car make, the maximum price and the minimum price from the table cars, group by car make. So what we want to see is for each car make, we want to see what the maximum price is and what the minimum price is. Okay, we run the query, and this is what we get. We get a table where for this column car make, we just have one of each of the makes, and then in here, so it's not an individual car, it's an individual car make, and then for each of them we have the maximum and minimum prices. Okay, when we look at the results here of our query, okay, we see Ford, there's a minimum price and a maximum price. Then Skoda here is the same price because there's one car, Smart, Mercedes, blah, blah. And it looks like we have 2 Skodas. Okay, we have this Skoda here and this Skoda here. Each of them only has one car because Ford is the only brand or make that has more than one price. If we look at the cars, we need to check we have SCODA here, which is just the letters SKODA, and SCODA here that has a space at the end. Okay, so we need to apply the changes. Apply the changes, which is an update statement, and if we rerun now, the two SCODAs are taken as the same brand or make, and then we have the price range, the max and the minimum price. Okay, and there's a few more queries on the lab assignment or exercise, but I think with this you get an idea of how to work. Okay, and actually before we finish, just the last thing I'm going to show you is how to use reverse engineering. So we're going to go database, reverse engineer. This is our connection. Next, it will ask me for my root password. It's going to ask me what to reverse engineer. We could reverse engineer our schema for video. That's going to be just one table. Import our table objects, which is just one. And basically what we have done is we have now created the ER diagram for that database that we have the physical schema for. Okay, so you can try this with one of the sample database, the Shakila database, and what you can see is that starting from your physical model, you can reverse engineer, get your ER diagram, and that will give you a better understanding of what the database design is and how tables are connected to each other. It's good for documentation as well. Okay, you can save this ER diagram the same way we've been doing before. Okay, so we'll leave it here for this video. Bye.